In a world full of women, Donald Glover is claiming he felt vulnerable and sexualized. But imagine if these genders were reversed. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment. And Mr. and Mrs. Star Donald Glover has spoken out on how he felt during producing the brand new Amazon series Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Now, we did do a trailer for this series on the channel. I haven't got round to watching it. I am going to watch it, despite looking at the trailer, despite assuming the show is going to be woke and not very good. I am going to give it a chance. So expect to see a review up within the next maybe 48 hours, maybe sooner than that, hopefully sooner than that. But today we're not here really to talk about anything that happened in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. In fact, we're more here to talk about the things that happened off the screen and Donald Glover's experience of making the show. Now, Glover says he felt vulnerable working on Mr. and Mrs. Smith as he thought the environment was focused on sexualizing him. The Hollywood star claims that he was only one of two males, along with his brother Stephen, in a writer's room filled with all women. And he says that he felt that the Amazon Prime show had a feminine gaze due to the amount of female writers. Now, I think it's interesting that Donald Glover is saying that he was one of only two men in the writing team that was full of women, and that he said he felt sexualized. He felt the environment was fully focused on sexualizing him, which is a bit of a big claim. And could you imagine if it was the other way around? Now, people will say man up. People will say he's probably lucky to be in a room full of women. He's lucky to have women sexualizing him. But I just think that we look at 2024, and if the genders were reversed, this would probably be causing an outcry. This would probably be making big time news, and people would be talking about it. People would be saying it's not fair, it's not right. However, Donald Glover comes out and says it, and it's pretty much like nobody cares. So he was giving his opinion on how he felt during the making of the show, and this is what he had to say, quote, "It makes you feel vulnerable in a way where, like, I just never thought of myself that way. It's funny now, I'm taking longer to get ready than my wife because I know how people are looking at me. Even the way clothes were being put on me was just like, this is just to sexualize you. It was a very new experience for me. It was interesting to say the least, but I felt very vulnerable," end of quote. So Donald Glover giving his opinion on how he felt, basically just felt like he was constantly being sexualized, constantly being treated like a sex object by these women. They were dressing him, always sexualizing him in every scene, wanting him to look his best, wanting him to give off intimacy vibe constantly. And I just thought this was interesting how he came out in an interview and he described how he was feeling. Now, it didn't sound like he was making a big deal out of it. It didn't sound like he was complaining or claiming that he was harassed or anything like that. But he did point out that he felt sexualized by a whole bunch of women and that it made him feel vulnerable. And if you reverse that around, if you have a woman that's co-star, if you take the main lead woman from this TV series, if she came out and said the exact same thing about being in a room full of men writers and that they were sexualizing her constantly and that they were making her feel vulnerable, I feel like this would be a huge fucking deal. I think this would be like breaking news and people would be wanting some sort of investigation to go on. And I'm not saying that should happen because Donald Glover's a professional, and if his character is to be sexualized, then that is fair enough. Sexualize him. And if the majority of the writers are female, then it is what it is. But I just think if this was the opposite way about, if this was the female star of the show and she was saying how she was in a room full of male writers and that they were sexualizing her and making her feel vulnerable, I think this would be groundbreaking news and it'd be making a big deal. But I mean, whatever. We are going to check this show out. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it is available on Amazon Prime. They've released all episodes. I think it's 8 in total. They've released them in a batch. I don't really like that. I prefer when it's weekly episodic releases. But yeah, 8 episodes in a row, all available now on Amazon Prime. We'll review this show. Hopefully it's pretty good. So like I said, make sure you check out the review. It will be coming to the channel pretty soon. So within the next day or two, expect to see it there. But yeah, Donald Glover said he felt vulnerable. I just hope I don't feel vulnerable watching the show. I hope it's pretty watchable. I hope it's decent. And I hope it's not too bad. Anyway, guys, catch you in the next one. Till then, been Fog Entertainment. Peace.